And well. Welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I'm Watsu K99. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to watch these videos. So we got another video here about the New York Mets offseason. So free agency starts on Thursday night, Thursday at 5 p.m. It'll be dark already, amazingly enough. But the Mets have quite a few free agents on their roster. And what I want to do in this video is go through some of those free agents. And also I'm going to rank them 10 to 1 on who I want to bring back the least and who I want to bring back the most. I like doing rankings, countdowns, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get right into it. There's 4 players I'm going to put to the side. They're not going to be part of the 10 because they have either player options or club options. Now, they're all pitchers. So the first one is A.J. Minter, who has an $11 million player option. He picked that up as of Monday. So we already know he's going to be back with the Mets. That was really the expectation from the beginning anyway. Minter got hurt early in the season, and he wants to come back, make it right with the Mets. I'm very glad he will be back, as I think his presence was sorely missed over the course of the season. Frankie Montas. It hurts my heart just to say his name. He's got a $17 million player option. If he wasn't to exercise that, he would have the worst agent in the history of agents. Okay, Montas will not pitch next year. He'll basically make $17 million to do jack squat, which is basically all he gave the Mets in 2025. But that's another story. And then you have a couple of relievers who have club options. One is Drew Smith. He has a $2 million club option. I definitely think he stays. He's had his Tommy John surgery. He's been rehabbing. And the Mets signed him to this contract after he had the surgery. So this was the expectation. So it should be that he would be back with the Mets in 2026, and he would be part of their major league bullpen. And then you have Brooks Raley, who may have been, outside of Edwindiaz, the most reliable reliever that the Mets had. I think he actually was once he returned from injury. He has a $4.8 million club option. Like Drew Smith, he was also signed to that contract after having Tommy John surgery. I fully expect him to be back. I can't believe he's already 37 years old. Bottom line, if you throw left-handed, you could get players out. You could go till you're about 50 years old. So that gives you the 4 players who have options. I expect all of them back. Of course, Montas, I don't expect to be playing at all. Nobody does. And the less we see of him, the better. Okay, let's get into the 10 free agents. Unrestricted free agents, starting with number 10. The player I want to see back the least would be Cedric Mullins. Now, I'm sure he's a wonderful person, a good man, loved by God, but he was almost as bad as Darren Ruff. That trade was horrific. The bat was disappointing enough, but what I couldn't believe is that his defense failed too. I can think of the one time, it might have been the Washington series, where he's running into left center field and the ball just pops right out of his glove. You know, it was a chance worth taking, but it completely failed. Cedric, onward and upward, but we never need to see you here again. Number 9 is going to be Ryan Stanek, the relief pitcher. Now, I'll give Stanek this. He had more appearances than any other Mets reliever in 2025. 65 appearances. He pitched to a 5.30 ERA, a 1.57 whip. Not very good numbers. He's very up. He's very down. He had some very good moments. I can think of the late series in the year against Texas, where Pete won it with that walk-off hit. I was in the building that day. He got out of, I think, bases loaded, nobody out. But way too many down moments where he basically imploded. Yes, he had some good moments in the 2024 postseason. Time to move on. You can get plenty of other Ryan Staneks. Number 8, Gregory Soto. Now, this was the first reliever the Mets picked up at the deadline. With the Mets, he pitched in 25 games, a 4.50 ERA, 1.62 whip. He was about what I expected. Again, very up and down, but he really fell off in the month of September. And now the Mets have both Raley and Minter from the left side. I give Soto a 1-year deal. I don't expect him to take it. I would give him an offer for not a whole heck of a lot of money. I wouldn't expect him to take it, but I really don't have any major desire to bring him back. Number 7, Ryan Helsley. Now, Helsley's a tricky one for me. Now, he did not handle the setup role well once he came over from St. Louis, and that would be putting it kindly. 20 innings pitched, a 7.20 ERA, a 1.8 whip. Compare that to what he did in St. Louis this year. 36 innings, a .00 ERA and a 1.39 whip. Stark, better, much better. I really think this was more about the role he was in, pitching the eighth inning, than it was about New York. It kind of bothers me when I hear a lot of people say, this guy, you just can't do it in New York. You can't do it in New York. You can't prove that somebody can't do it in New York. You can't prove New York is the reason why somebody struggles. Okay? I think it's about the role. It changes your mindset, closing the game, ending the game, as opposed to extending the game and handing it off to the next pitcher. I think the only way Ryan Helsley comes back is if he feels the need to make it right and he is willing to be a setup man again. Now, he did finish well. Last 6 appearances, 7 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts, no runs allowed. But there's a lot of closers hitting the market this offseason. Not just Edwindiaz, but Kenley Jansen, Raisel Iglesias, Robert Suarez, Aroldis Chapman. There's a number of closers that are going to hit the market. Helsley could get swallowed up in that. Maybe that gives him an incentive to take a setup role. It depends what people are willing to pay for him. And I think if the market doesn't work out the way he wants to, maybe he takes a 1-year deal with the Mets. Another factor, he's younger than a lot of the options out there. Like Edwindiaz, Helsley is 31 years old. I'm not saying I would want to bring him back, but if the market goes a certain way, I give him 1 more year. Number 6 would be Jesse Winker. He is incredibly up and down. And I know there is a contingent of Mets fans, particularly the females, that love him for the hair, for the beard, the personality, the tattoos. That's all well and good. I'm just looking at on-field production. And this year he played 26 games. He batted .229. He's 32 years old. Could I bring him back? Maybe, but you know what? He's got to earn his time as a DH. I can't say that I'm overly excited to bring back Jesse Winker. Yeah, the personality, the leadership, okay, fine, if they actually exist. But when you're hurt, as Winker tends to be quite often, you can't really do a whole heck of a lot of leading. So again, if you want to make him a 1-year deal, fine, but I'm totally content with moving on from him and giving a chance to somebody young, like a Ryan Clifford. Maybe bring him up as the left-handed DH this year. Worth a shot. Number 5 is going to be Starling Marte. Now, Juan Soto has raved about Starling Marte. Maybe the Mets make him an offer just to bring him back and to keep Juan Soto happy. And Marte can still do some things well. He can still steal a base. Stole 7 last year. He played 98 games, .270 batting average, 9 home runs, 34 RBI, a 745 OPS. Respectable numbers. And to hit .270 in this day and age, that actually does mean something. That's pretty good. But the problem is he is a very limited player. He's 37 years old. We know he can't play defense anymore. That's just a fact of life. So I don't know if Marte would be willing to come back again, kind of like Winker. You want to give him 1 year to sort of have that J.D. Martinez role from 2024. I'm okay with that. Number 4, Griffin Canning, one of the best surprises the Mets had last year in the starting rotation. Now remember, 2024, he gave up 99 earned runs for the Angels. That was the most earned runs allowed in MLB. David Stearns saw something, he took a chance, and he came to the Mets, and he was very good. The Stearns haters don't want you to know about that, though. Then, of course, he gets hurt. While he was pitching, made 16 starts, 3.77 ERA, a 1.37 whip. I bring him back on a 2-year deal, an incentive-laden contract. You can't have enough starting pitching depth. And Canning did pitch well against very good teams. So I think it is worth bringing him back as sort of a veteran presence in that rotation. And he's only going to be 30 years old next year. So why not do that? Number 3, Tyler Rogers. So I am very much for bringing him back in that bullpen. The Mets have a lot of blank spots in that bullpen going into next season, especially from the right side. Even if they bring back Edwindiaz, what are we talking about? Drew Smith, who's coming off surgery, Huáscar Brazoban, who was taking the Queens to Syracuse Express time after time. Now, Rogers is 34 years old, but pitched to a 2.30 ERA, 10 strikeouts, doesn't strike out a lot, but only 1 walk in 27 innings. He pitches to contact, and I like that submarine style of pitching. It gives hitters a different look than 99-mile-an-hour fastballs. He's reliable. He'll pitch 75, 80 times a year. So I would bring him back maybe on a 2-year contract. So I am very much in favor of Tyler Rogers coming back. Number 2, and I did a full video talking about Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz, that the Mets need to bring both of them back. I went through numbers. I went through their value to the Mets. You can check that out on my other video on what I want to see the Mets do this offseason. But for the sake of this ranking, I am going to make Pete Alonso my number 2 target in free agency. And I think it's because it's easier to replace Alonso than Edwin Diaz. I look at some of the options out there to play first base. Cody Bellinger, Josh Naylor, who I like quite a bit. Josh Bell, if you want to have a stopgap, Ryan O'Hearn, Paul Goldschmidt. Those, you can bring one of them in. Bellinger and Naylor would be the 2 I would go after. But remember, the Mets also still have Ryan Clifford, who was playing in AAA last year, still a top prospect, has a lot of power. Maybe you want to bring him up and give him an opportunity. Now, none of those options, by the way, appealed to me more than resigning Pete Alonso. I'm just saying if he leaves, there are things you can do. And Edwin Diaz is my number 1 target. I don't want to see him go anywhere for sure. Now, there are some closer options out there, but most of these are older players. Kenley Jansen, Robert Suarez, Raisel Iglesias, Devin Williams. I don't know if he's going to want to go from the Yankees to the Mets. But to me, there is no better closer than Edwin Diaz in baseball, and there certainly is not a better closer that's available on the market. So that is my ranking of the 10 free agents who I want to see come back the least to the most. Let me know what you think of my rankings. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Have I lost my mind? It's okay. Let me know. But please like and subscribe and share the channel with a friend. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great day. And I will see you all right back here with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair.